Gang, we are here for another illustration masterclass, and I want to welcome everybody who is here on Behance. Thank you for joining me. If you're watching on YouTube or Twitter, just know that I'm following the chat on Behance, and that is at be.net/Adobe Live. Okay, be.net/Adobe Live. That's where the chat action is, but watch wherever you like. Today's episode is really one of my favorite things to talk about. This is something I've been demoing for years and years, which is just a method that I use to create harmonious color in your illustration, or to create a harmonious color palette. And this is one of the hardest things for illustrators, because when you open up that color picker, you know that you're staring at least at 64 million colors or whatever it is. And you say to yourself, I want to pick a red. Well, fine. You want it to be warm or cool? I think I'll go warm. Well, you're still going to look at thousands and thousands of options there, and just sliding one hair to the left, one hair to the right, up or down with saturation or with value, etc. is going to give you a different color. It's so hard to pick the right one for the job. We are going to take care of that today. We're going to solve that problem, and I'm going to show you some fantastic ways to mix color directly on the canvas. And then from there, we're going to use a couple of fantastic Photoshop tricks to expand that palette that you mix and really give you a whole host of options. Every single one of those is going to be something that is harmonious, and this is the best part. So I'm excited about this. I love demoing this, and I'm glad you're all here to watch. Say a quick hello to some folks. I see Laura and Bruce and Gareth and Wade and Umacorn and Vanessa. Hey, how's it going? And Tracy, what's up, Tracy? And Cryo, and who'd I miss? Steve, and oh my gosh, some other folks here. I'm not being able to keep up. Thank you all for joining me. More folks are piling in. We are going to do this now. We're going to get to it. Let me share my screen. We're going to jump over to Photoshop. And you might notice I already have 3 little colors there on the screen. And I just thought I'd start with these, but we're gonna, try some other options as well. Here's what I want to tell you about this method. This is based on how you mix color with traditional media. One of the things about buying paint is it's expensive. So you may recall that when you were first starting out painting and drawing, that if you got, 3 or 4 decent colors, maybe 5 or 6 decent colors, that was usually enough to do plenty of painting simply by mixing the colors and getting what you want, with watercolor or acrylic, whatever it was you were using at the time, and still do. But to go out and buy 50 tubes of paint, I mean, that's insane. Not only that, but you probably noticed that the more colors you bought, the harder it was to make your paintings feel like they were cohesive, like they were harmonious. The color harmony part started to fall apart for you. So we're here to nip that in the bud and fix that. What I've got here on the canvas is I just randomly bounce around on my color wheel here, and I wanted to get something kind of like a red, something like a yellow, and something like a blue. Now you notice this isn't quite a blue, is it? It's more sort of like a greenish blue, if anything, more like a pine kind of a color, something along these lines. I could push it a little bluer, I guess, if I wanted to be really, really, I could go like that if I wanted. And I'm still going to be in fine shape. It really doesn't matter. I'll leave it the way it was just to show you how this works and show you that you can be very flexible with what these primaries are. And a misconception about primary colors, by the way, is that primaries are always red, yellow, blue. Primaries just means the colors that are the primary colors from which you mix everything else. So those could be whatever, frankly. But to keep things simple, I'm going to stick with these for now. They're pretty familiar to everybody, with the exception of this maybe, Now, what I'm going to be doing is mixing color on the canvas to build a palette. Now you might think this is a very limited way of working to make your palette, but you're wrong, and I will show you why when we get down to it. So if you have Photoshop open with you right now, please follow along. And what I'm going to first tell you is the importance of using the right brushes for this technique, okay? It's important to use brushes that will respond to your pen pressure by adjusting the opacity of the mark that you're making. Normally this means that if you're using lighter pressure with your stylus, then you're going to get a less opaque mark on the canvas, okay? And if you use heavier pressure, the opposite happens. You're going to get the full opacity of that. So that's one thing. The other thing though too is I just have a preference for certain brushes that I really enjoy working in this method with. And the brush that I'm using today and that I use almost every time I do this demo is called Creamy Variation, and it's in the Megapack paint box. I'll show you right here. Kyle's paint box, Creamy Variation. And this is contained here in the paint box in the Megapack. Kyle, where do I get the Megapack? Glad you asked. You come over here to this little drop-down menu in the top right corner of your brushes panel in Photoshop. And if you scroll down, you will see this option to get more brushes. That is where you tap on to go to the treasure trove. Okay, the mother lode of brushes, over 1,900 brushes for all of you Photoshop and Fresco users. And you can find, first and foremost, the latest seasonal update, and then underneath that you'll see the Megapack ready to go. Go ahead and grab that Megapack. It's got about 400 and some change brushes in it. Great place to start, but be aware that the Megapack is not all the brushes, okay? Popular lie about the Megapack is that it contains everything. No. The Megapack is its own brush set, okay, gang? All the other brush sets are completely separate and unique, so go ahead and pick and choose and get whatever you want. You simply download the brush set, and if you have Photoshop open, you need only double tap or double click on that brush set wherever you happen to download it. It'll be a .abr file. You just double click on it. It'll automatically install it in Photoshop. Couldn't be easier. So here we have the Megapack paint box, and we have in it this brush, Creamy Variation. I love this brush for many reasons, but for one thing, I can use light pressure and I can get a mark that is not 100% opaque, and I can use heavier pressure and get something like that. The other thing that I enjoy about this brush, you may have noticed, is that it employs a little bit of color dynamics and some scattering and some other good things, so that every time I make a brush stroke, I can actually see evidence of that brush stroke on the canvas rather than filling in a totally flat color. For the purposes of mixing color, rather, you may think this is, not going to be that useful. I just think it's so nice because it makes it feel like I'm really working with real paint in a sense, okay? And don't worry, the color variation is so minimal, this is in no way going to negatively impact the colors that you mix, all right? So, before I move on, make sure everybody's got that brush or something similar, and we're gonna do it, but I wanna see if there are any questions here. Bliss, you've been working on trying to get the hang of doing this. Well, good, I'm glad you're in the right place. I'm gonna figure this out. Rob, thanks for the kind comments about the brushes. I appreciate it, thank you. Let's see. Oh, sorry that happened to you, Stroofy. Yes. All right, well, let's get to it. We got to get cracking here. So I've got my 3 primary colors right here, okay? And here is all you have to do. This is so simple. Now what I'm going to do is I'm first going to redraw these because I want to separate them out just a little bit, okay, so you got more space to work. So let me grab this one, pop it over here, okay? I'm going to grab the yellow, pop it down here, and then grab this kind of greenish blue right here and pop it over here. Make it look like kind of a triangle here. And it's as simple as what you would do with traditional media. I simply sample some of the yellow, and the way I'm doing that is I'm holding down the Option key for a second. And while I'm holding down the Option key, what I'm doing is sampling color from the canvas. Now, if you're on a PC, you would be holding down the Alt key. Same deal, all right? Hold it down, and then I come and I choose any little corner here of this red, and I just gently paint over it. And when I say gently, I mean I'm using less pen pressure or stylus pressure. And what that is doing is it's just glossing over that surface a little, or glazing, I should say. And because of the transparency of it, I'm able to then sample a new color right here, okay? And I'll just throw that right there. And that becomes a color that I've mixed between these two, okay? Then I come over and I do the same thing over here, right? With this greenish blue color. And I throw that right there. And then, of course, you guessed it, I come over here and I do the same thing on this side. And we get a color that we mix between those two. So of course you're familiar with this idea of building a color wheel. We have our secondary colors now, okay? And if I want to, I can then just start mixing all of those, you know, come over here, yada, yada, blah, 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 blah. And there's a nice little blend between those two. I come over here and I do a little bit of that. And I grab that and I come over here and I do a little bit of this. Okay, come over here. You get the idea. And you see how quickly I can just start doing this. So everything we're mixing here is exactly what you'd expect to see, right? And then last but not least, we come over here and we do this. And I start building these out. But where things start to get interesting is when you start to travel across from side to side. So from green over to orange, from this pinkish red over to this green over here, right? From this yellow to purple, and so on. All right, so let's start doing that. Now you can put those colors anywhere you like. I like to just kind of ring them out this way. Okay, so I grab this, come over here, throw that over there, and I should get a nice kind of a brown kind of a color, like that. All right, and then I could come over here, grab this, and just throw that over here. Get another nice neutral kind of a brown color, a little cooler that time, right? Come over here and just do a bit of this. Throw that over there. And now we're starting to get some different results here, okay? I like to come over here maybe, throw that over here, start to get that color, all right? And then what you do is you start to mix everything else, all right? So I come over here and I do this, bing, 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 bing. See what I get. Nice, okay. Then maybe I could take this and mix it over here with this. And I get that kind of grayish color. It's a nice cool color right there. And you just continue to do this. Now, of course, you could do this on and on and on. I could take this color, mix it over here with this, get a little something like that. Take this color, this one I've just mixed, mix it over here with this. And I'm gonna get that, right? Now, all of these are very subtly different, these sort of neutrals that I'm mixing, all right? And I like to mix those with everything else, right? And wind up with colors like that. Take this neutral, travel over here, mix it with this, get that color, okay? You just continue to do this. And now you might be thinking, well, wait a second, probably most of these colors are going to be more or less in the same value range. Some colors are, of course, inherently lighter than others or darker than others, right? A blue is normally darker than a yellow, for example. So what do you do about that? Well, let's just double check that first. I'm just going to throw a little layer of pure black on top of everything, and I'm going to set it to hue and just take a look at that. And yeah, I'd say, you know, if you squint and look at this, there isn't too much variety there in our values. All right. So the next step is to start adding some lighter colors and some darker colors. Well, how do you do that? You could just use white and black, but I don't. I don't want to do that. I never have. What I do instead is I take my yellow or whatever my lightest color is, okay? And I just come up here to the color wheel. And what I do is I slide it up and I keep it saturated, right? So it's heading up towards white there, but not quite. So if I were to put that color down for you now, it's right there. And it's very, very light, okay? But not quite white. You could go a little brighter if you want. It all depends on what you want to do, all right? But now I have that color, and I could throw it off to the side so I can easily come and grab it anytime I need it, right? Put a nice big swatch of it over there. And then I can take that, and I can take all these other colors, and I can just hit them a little bit with that. Make a lighter color, right? Come back here, grab that white, hit this puppy right here, boom, boom, come over here, right? And I'm just doing these right now with sort of these neutrals, and look at these lovely colors I'm getting. Look at these. So nice, right? Come over here, hit this bad boy right here, and then ta-da, right? You get the idea. Do you see how we're very quickly expanding the number of hues that we have to work with, right? In addition to the fact that we're now adding different values to these. And you know, you could take that white color, I say white in quotes because, you know, it's not really white, and you can go even lighter. See, this is the subtlety here. Up to you. How light do you want to go, right? Look at that, it's a nice color. We just keep on doing this, right? And we keep on going, and we keep on going. All right. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, you know, Kyle, it's interesting that we're doing this, and I do like the results, but one thing I've noticed right out of the gate is that once you get past those secondary colors, some of the colors do appear to get more and more desaturated because of the way that we're mixing them. We're not mixing two pure colors. We're taking one color and using it with less opacity over another, so it's kind of like you're tinting it and you're missing out on the opacity. Well, I have a solution for that too, and we're going to get to it, so just hold your horses and don't worry. I just want to show you first the method. I want you to understand what we're doing here. All right, so we can hit then, of course, our primaries and do the same thing. All right, throw that right there, that's lovely. Just do it with everything. Some secondary color right there. Let's hit this primary right here, throw that right there. We can go even lighter. Lighter still. You know, look at this. I just keep on going. Okay. Now, when I look at all of these, the beauty of this is that every single one of the colors that I'm currently seeing was mixed from these three colors. Okay. And so, by their very nature, they have a little bit of something from those three in them. Okay. And the more you mix and mix and mix, it doesn't matter. The results are always going to feel good together. So just as an example, and well, actually before I do that, let me grab some darks for you, and I'll explain how I do this. Now it might not surprise you that I use the darkest color in the primaries to do this. In this case, I would go with probably this greenish blue color, all right? And I keep it extra saturated, and I pull it on down towards black like that. And I just throw that up there as another color for me to use, all right? And that becomes the dark color. And, you know, depending on how you want to do this, you could even use the red, pull that on down, right? Look at the difference. These are both very dark, but they have a different temperature to them, a different hue, right? And they're going to give me different results. You do what you want. It's totally fine, because whatever you choose to do, remember, it's going to work. That's what's great about this system, okay? So then I could do this, grab this, throw a little bit of that over that green, right? Throw that out here. Lovely, lovely. Then I could take a little bit of that. Actually, if I go a little lighter, I'll probably get, yeah, that's what I want. Something a little lighter, so it doesn't feel exactly like that. Look at that nice color. That's like a, what, viridian? Is that the word? I think that's kind of a viridian green right there. Then I could do this, grab this, and then throw it over here, like this. Get that nice color right there. You just keep on going, right? No matter what you do, it's going to work. And as you know, if you've ever done, you know, painting with traditional media, you mix yellow and black, you're going to get something kind of green, right? This is how it works. Let's keep on going. We'll do this, we'll grab it, and we'll throw it over this over here. Put that down over here. Okay, we're getting some darker colors now. We'll throw it maybe on top of this guy right here. See what we get right there. Throw that out over here. That's a nice one. Maybe just a couple more. Let's see what that yields. Very nice. So now we're getting some darker colors. We haven't even thrown in over a lot of these neutrals, right? So like over this person right here. I say person, it's a color, but you know, that's gonna give me that. So we're getting some darker colors. Let's turn this back on, this black layer that we have up here, right? Remember that black layer is set to hue. Could also do saturation, get similar results, you know. I think you could also do color, I don't know. It's all kind of the same deal. It's gonna show you some values that are fairly accurate, okay? And now we're getting more of a range. We're seeing some darks, we're seeing some midtones, and we're seeing some lights, and that's great. All right, hide that again. And now let me show you what I mean about things just looking good together. I'm gonna snag this, throw it over here. I'm gonna snag this, throw it over there. Snag this, And let's see, maybe this guy. And let's do this. Now let's do another dark. How about, let's do just this pure dark right here. Okay. And maybe let's see, one more kind of mid-tone kind of thing. I like this guy maybe. Throw him over there. Okay. Do I have enough cool and warm? Yeah, I guess so. I could always take something like this and throw that in the mix. Okay. Now, let's do this. We're gonna Command J this little guy. That's gonna just duplicate that. And let's hide everything else. Now, look at that lovely group of colors. That is nice. So I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna go bam. I'm gonna clean it up a little bit. Okay. We're gonna do this. I want you to feast your eyes on this palette. If I were randomly picking colors from the color wheel over here, what are the odds that I would land on these 8 colors and that they would all look good together? Well, unless you're a color genius like Callie Seesmeyer or somebody like that, you are probably not going to arrive with something that looks like this. This is an interesting combo of colors, okay? And thankfully, they all look nice together, all right? Imagine, I've just got a simple design here. All right, I'm gonna do this. Bump, 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 bump. And a little bit of that. Some kind of like a logo for a thing. I don't know. And we're gonna throw that yellow in there. Grab this. Grab that. Grab this. And then we do this guy right here. And a little hit of that. Okay, put that there too. I don't know. Throw this guy in there, actually, that'd be nice. I start to like design something here. Doesn't matter. Boop. Do this. Now, as a design, whatever, not great. But as the colors, very nice, totally harmonious, okay? Would I ever in a million years come up with this on my own? Unlikely. Unlikely, right? I could clean this up too so it really looks good. We'll do this. Do this. I locked my layer transparency for anybody who's wondering how I was able to so quickly make it so that these colors are only going to color inside the area of the canvas that is visible here, okay? And there we go. We'll come across this way. And we do this. And we do this. There you have a sort of design for something. I am not knowing what. But let's take a look at that. Now, here is how we test this kind of stuff. This is really fun. So I'm just gonna hide this other stuff for a minute, okay? Or I'm gonna actually duplicate it and put it on its own layer, all right? And we'll take our logo here, slide it over this way, and just focus on that for a second. Whoops, you go over there, and you go over there. All right, so let's zero in on this for a second. All right, now, what do you think about that, gang? I'm pretty happy with those colors. Let's do this. We're going to go Command U. This pulls up my hue and saturation sliders. Command U, alrighty. If you're not interested in key commands, you come up to Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation, right up here, okay? Now watch how fun this is. I'm just going to look at all these relationships and say, yeah, neat, okay. And then I'm gonna start just sliding, whoops, wrong layer, come over here. There we go, Command U. I'm gonna start sliding this. Oh, I like that, I like that. I like that too. I like that too. Folks, the beauty of this is that you can create these palettes and then you can start playing with the hue saturation sliders, and no matter which way you go, you're almost always gonna find something that works and looks great. It's like cheating. Look at this. Go all the way over this way. How's that look? I dig that. I dig it a lot. Let's go the other way. Let's go this way. Woo! Funky. If you're having problems with the greens, well, of course you are, because greens are not supposed to be that bright, and they're not in real life. What do? Lower the saturation. Look at that. Now that is a sophisticated and lovely palette. How would I ever pick this palette if I was just goofing around with trying to pick stuff from the color wheel? Never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. By the way, I realized I didn't take this lovely green and give it another home in here, and it needs one. It definitely needs one. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw it right here, like that. All right, and then we're gonna go back to that hue saturation, because I want you to see, as I pop it over this way and reduce that saturation, how nice it is to see a hit of that right there. Okay. Increase the saturation, go all the way to the extreme, decrease the saturation, increase the saturation. All these work, okay? You're fine. That is the beauty of this system. I just went ahead and I picked 8 colors out of there, and we made this design, okay? And it works. And then you can go ahead and adjust it and slide it around, it works. And look, do it with the actual palette itself right here. Command U, same deal. Start pulling those hue saturation sliders around. See what you come up with, okay? Things get too crazy and saturated, desaturate, right? Or be specific. Remember with hue and saturation sliders that you can be specific with which hues you're adjusting. So I come over here and I say, you know what, the greens are going crazy. I'm just gonna desaturate those, and I'm gonna go to the cyans, same deal. Yellows. Desaturate those a little bit. That's a pretty palette. I like this for like a nature kind of a thing. I want to do some greens. I'm thinking about tropical or whatever, right? Go back, there's our original. Now, some of you probably already jumped ahead and thought, well, you know what? I don't have to just use hue and saturation sliders to do this. What about adjustment layers, Kyle? Well, you're right. So check this out. Come down here to our adjustment layers. And look at all these options. You got hue saturation. You could add one right there and start just making palettes left and right. Retain the old one. Turn that on and off, that adjustment layer if you want, right? You could even do something like this. You just go solid color. Say, I want to add a solid color. And you say whatever that color is, I don't know. This is fine. I'm going to do something like this for now, okay? All right. And what do I do with that? Well, I start playing with my layer blending modes, right? So for example, I go to overlay. Before, after. So now what we're doing is we're basically tinting our palette, right? So let's turn that back on. Pull up that color picker. Let's go this way. as I'm sliding it, look what's happening. Colors are changing, right? But this is different from before because now we're using a layer blending mode. So we're tinting all the colors simultaneously with another color so that we can get a different result. So I come over here, for example, I say that is a nice earthy palette and very sophisticato, okay? We hide it, that's the original. Here's where we are now. If you like what you see, you know, go ahead, group these layers, Command G, Command J, duplicate that group, Command E. Make it into a single layer. Although I shouldn't have seen all that in action. Hang on a minute, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna select this layer's contents by holding down Command and then tapping on the layer thumbnail, okay, right there. I hold down Command, I tap on that, it selects the layer contents. I'm gonna come over here to this color fill layer, and remember, this is a mask, folks. So I'm gonna hit Command, Shift, I. What does that do? It inverts my selection. Inverts my selection, okay? So we were here, okay? I'm gonna hit Command, Shift, I, invert my selection, and I wanna hide everything that isn't these color swatches. So if you're doing masking, what do you do if you wanna hide something? Black or white? You use black. Black is my foreground color. I hit Option, Delete. That creates that mask for me. Okay, or pardon me, I actually want to, yeah, Option, Delete. There we go. And I may have done it backwards because I inverted my selection twice. Let me go back a minute. There we go, that's where I want to be. Option, Delete. So what you should see is black predominantly in this thumbnail preview for your mask with tiny little white dots, which shows what I selected, okay? And now I'm gonna hit Command D. I'm deselecting, I've got that copy, and now when I hit Command E, which takes those layers and merges them together, I'm done. I've got this palette now right here, okay? So for this previous group here, I can turn off that adjustment layer and I can bring these under one another and I can compare the two, right? Subtle changes, but really nice changes. You can go in any direction with this using adjustment layers. You can do some other things that I'll show you in a minute, but the beauty of this is it all starts with 3 colors, okay? So let's take a look again. Here, excuse me, here we were. 1, 2, and 3, uno, dos, tres. We have these colors. How do we get our darks and our light? Well, we go ahead and we grab the darker color, which could be, in this case, this is greenish blue, and I go ahead and keep it saturated and pull it down towards black. For this white color, I go ahead and grab my yellow and I head it towards white, keep it saturated, and then mix all these from everything else. There you go. And look, I could have picked any other group of colors to make a palette like this, and I could have continued to mix and mix and mix. But I want to jump back to something I said a little earlier, which was, if you are doing this and you feel like you want all the colors to come up in saturation, that's up to you. It's harder to work with a lot of really saturated colors in a painting, just so you know, or an illustration, because they all fight for dominance and for attention. It's important to have as many neutrals as possible to support those hits of brighter color so that the things that you want to stand out and draw someone's attention to them do so, because you can use brighter color, greater contrast, etc. So fall in love with your neutrals. They're a very good friend of yours. But if you did want to bring some things up in saturation, okay, here's what you do. We're going to start over again, and I'm going to show you quickly the secret to that, okay? So we'll start this time with a different red. Remember, folks, watch out for this warning sign when you're mixing color, or using color rather, in Photoshop. This is telling you that this is not a print safe color. It's screen safe because remember, we're looking at light and the light is just throwing itself in our face. Coffee break. But if you're creating work with the intention of someday printing it, just know that there's a chance those colors that you're looking at on the screen will not print quite like that. They might get a little muddier, a little more, less saturated. They might shift a lot, especially if they're in a range of colors that, you know, don't have as much wiggle room with print. Greens, for example, you get some really bright, saturated neon greens when you're looking at a screen. Those don't work so well with print unless you have specialty inks, all right? So I see this red and I say, oops, alarm, alarm, alarm. I'm just gonna go ahead and tap on this little window right here. See how it says warning, right? See that little triangle? Just tap on that. Photoshop is very clever, and Photoshop is going to then find for you the color that is closest in hue, saturation, and value, which is really cool. All right, so there's my red. Now this is not exciting. We've seen this before. This is just a regular old red. All right, there it is. Nothing flashy, okay? And this time I'll go for more like a greenish, almost like a lemony kind of a yellow color, right? Throw that down there. All right. And for my blue, maybe something over here like this. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Okay. So, you know, this is kind of more traditional, right? Now that's pretty light, but not worried about it. Remember, you could start with anything here. It does not matter, but I want to show you this trick about retaining saturation. So I'm going to come over here, and before I start mixing all the colors, all I do, folks, is I add another layer. I just add a layer. And now I start the same process. Like, all right, let's do this. Okay, I like you. I'll throw you over here. And I do this, and and I like you, and I'm going to throw you over here. And let's do this. Okay, and that's nice. And I'll throw you over here. And you go, yeah, but Kyle, you know, that blue and that red, gosh, it mixed kind of like a gray. That's hardly the kind of saturated, beautiful violet color that I want. So, you know, to heck with you, and I'm leaving this live stream right now. I'd say, hold on, before you walk out the door, let me show you a little something. Don't forget that you mixed your secondaries on a separate layer. So what do? Command U. Okay, didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it did. And here we go. We're on a separate layer. So I simply pull that saturation up to, you know, maybe a value of 30 or thereabouts. And I say, yeah, okay. That's a little bit more what I was thinking of. Now, if you don't go crazy with this, you got to be careful, right? You pull that saturation up to Bonkersville, you're going to have colors that are just crazy garish. But for certain colors, the greens and maybe the violets and things like that, you want to pull a little more saturation out of those, go ahead and do it. No big whoop, okay? And I have it all in a separate layer, so easy to control. And if I want to mix my tertiary colors now, what do? No problem, make another layer and do it again. I come over here and I go over here and I do this. And I say, okay, there's another color right there. And then I come over here and I do this. And I say, all right, there's another color right there. Nice, okay, great. Right, what are we doing? We're just doing the same thing. Come over here and I mix that color. Now remember, these are on a separate layer, aren't they? There they are. Command U, pull up that saturation a little bit, right? We'll go up to like 20 this time. Say, okay, bring everything else back. And there you go. So if this is how you want to operate, that's fine too. And you can do that to your heart's content. Just be mindful of what I said earlier. Too much saturation, you got problems, okay? All right, so let's see. Any questions here? I'm just going to scroll up for a minute. You're missing that beige color, says Bruce. Not sure what you're talking about for that. Must have missed something there. Let's see. Alrighty. Those neutrals would make great skin tones. Yes, Wade. For skin tones, mix up those neutrals to your heart's content. Just keep on going. Mix, 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 mix. I come over here. I grab a little bit of that. I throw that down, right? I come over here, I warm that up a bit. And I go over here and I do that. And then I want to come over here and I want to mix that in there, right? We start doing this. We haven't even done darks and lights yet, and already things are getting interesting, right? Haven't even done darks and lights yet. Let's grab some of that green. Let's do this. That gives me a nice color. Look at that. All right. What are we going to do? We're going to go darker? You know what to do. Grab that blue. Pull it on down. Nice and saturated. There's my dark. Grab that. Pull that over here. Start seeing what we get there. Oh, yeah. You know the drill. Okay. And you are in such good shape now. You're starting to mix some great colors. You know how to warm things up. You add a bit of orange. You add a bit of red. Right? Whatever you want. Add a bit of red to this guy right here. You get that. And on and on and on and on and on. We haven't even done a light, right? Let's get our light. Let's go over here and do this. There it is. I grab that. Come over here and I say, okay, I want that. And I want to hit it again, but I want to hit it right here between these two right here. Bam. Put that there. Do this. Da, 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 da. Right? Look at this range we're getting. Phenomenal. Okay? Mix the neutrals together. See what you get. And you just keep on going with this process. It's so delightful. And it's so simple. Okay? You'll warm that up. Go for it. All right, so you see what I mean. This method is foolproof, works every time. It's really cool. It's really fun. Just like before. I grab all these and I throw them together, make them all one layer. Here's my palette, on and off, okay? I have not mixed too much here, but just for funsies, let's do this. Command U, there it is again, hue and saturation. Pull it on down here. Just start doing this. Look what happens. No matter where you go, you're gonna get neat stuff, right? That's, oh, I love that. That's looking nice over there, okay? These are starting to get crazy. What do? Throw some saturation downward, a little less saturation. Well, there's an interesting group of colors, I'd say. What do you think about that? We've hardly done anything here, but we could just grab this guy. We could grab this guy. We could grab this guy. Right, let's grab this one. I like that one. See how subtle some of this action is? Just subtle and sophisticated, right? Sophisticato is where it's at. Throwing these together, saying, yeah, I want a bit of that. I want a bit of that. Okay. Maybe we need, what else do we need in here? Maybe a little bit of this guy. Right? Maybe another dark right there. That's a nice palette right there. It's a nice looking palette. We take this and just for kicks, throw it in there and see how does it compare with everything else. Well, surprisingly, but not really, kind of works. I gotta say, it's kind of nice, right? And you snag all those. Are we missing any lights? Yeah, we are. We need one more light in there. So let's grab this and let's do maybe this. Yeah. And maybe maybe this guy too needs a bit of, no, it's too similar to that. Let's see. Let's do maybe this. Make that a little lighter. Okay, I'm gonna grab all these, Command J, all right, turn this off here, and I'm gonna take these and just throw them over here. And there's an interesting little palette to play with, right? We come over here and we say, yeah. Let's throw this down. Throw some of that yellow in there. Sorry about that noise. That's me just like stabbing the canvas as I do. Now we have something going on here. I don't know what's going on. I'm just throwing some colors in, pretending there's like some lights. And some darks here. See? Having fun. This is the name of the game, folks. Having fun. Start to like really make this shape make sense here. And we're looking at some mounties here. Right? Against the sky. Look at these colors. These colors are nice together. They are buddies. Are they not? You know what I'm saying? Come over here and I could throw a little sun right there. Beep, 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 beep. Tint it with some color. And then, you know, we could start playing around with some other stuff, but those are nice. It's just like 3 or 4 colors in there. You want to throw some stuff off in the distance. Do it. Same method, I'm just kind of like mixing one color on top of another. See that? That pushes those back. What do you think? This really is just foolproof, and it really can take the pressure off so that you can just get to the painting and not be stressing about those colors being pals, right? It's not a problem. Not a problem. Really not a problem. Look at that. What do you think? What do you think? Are we enjoying this? Is this working for everybody? This is exciting stuff. Now, there's more. There's more. We're not done yet. There's still more. So we have a few minutes left, but I hope that this is just getting your wheels turning, and you all are just starting to be like, oh man, I gotta try this, because it's the way to go. All right. So why don't we slide this on up here over there? And let me show you this. We're going to grab this palette and we're going to Command J that. So that means we've now put it on its own layer right there. And watch, we just do this. Grab one of the colors that works with these. Okay, like this, well, they all work. So you grab any old color, doesn't matter. I'm gonna grab this, like this orange kind of color here. Okay, and you do this on a separate layer. Okay, just paint over some of these colors. So it's like you're gonna tone some of them. But I'm using not full opacity there, right? Just paint over some of those and start playing with your layer blending modes. Like lighten, color dodge is a really nice one, right? Overlay, soft light, hard light's a good one. Vivid light, linear light, yada, yada, yada. But up here is a good, so color burn's great. Multiply is great, right? If you want to make colors darker, I'm adding colors now to my mix that I can use. I turn off the, grab these new ones right here, copy those, turn off this, and throw those down there. And what I've done is I've just added colors to the mix by using multiply. Now some of them are a little samey, but you'll notice there are subtle changes, right? Between this and this, between this color that doesn't exist anywhere, right? So that I can do the same thing now with, for example, this blue, right? Make another layer. And let's do this. We're just gonna paint over here. And, you know, we'll hit maybe some of these other guys. You can hit all of them if you want. Okay, maybe hit this guy right here, whatever. And let's play again with our, let's do multiply. They give me some other nice darks and some other colors. And I come back to this other layer and I just go one, whoops, make my brush smaller. Here we go. So I put one there. And we grab this guy, we put that there. And I like this one. Put that there. That feels very similar to this one, so I'll leave that out. I like this. That's a pretty rich green right there. Pretty rich. Okay. We got this guy too. Then we turn off that layer again. Now look, I've just added some other colors by taking another color, layering it over, using a multiply mode, okay? And we're still getting more colors that work in this palette. So the sky is the limit. And now remember, I sampled all these colors just from, and here's a painting from it, you know, that's some pretty fun stuff. But that comes from this bunch. And this bunch came from me mixing other colors, but then playing with hue and saturation sliders to even get to this place, right? And so you can see that you can constantly just expand and change, etc. You can tint stuff, you can use adjustment layers. You can build this out to 100 colors if you want, or just use 6. It really doesn't matter. And before we close out, just really quickly, I want to show you that what I said up front really means something. You do not have to use the same colors for primary colors, right? You can use anything you want for primaries. So you could take any old 3 colors, as long as they're different from one another and they're, you know, you bounce around the color wheel a little bit, okay? So you're not dealing with stuff that's too samey. But these are like, you know, basically secondary colors, so to speak, you know, a red, orange, a purple, and a green. You could use those, but you could change it up, and instead of using that green, I could use like a really nice, that purple, I could use a blue, like this. And then just start going to town and mixing colors with these. Okay, and build a palette from here. Look at the difference in those 2 colors. One I use less pressure than the other. You know what I'm saying? Boom, 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 boom. Pop that out there. And just start building. A little less pressure, totally different color. Okay? Pick any of these. I'll use the blue. Come down here, make your dark. Okay? Take that. Mix that nice dark green. Take this. Bum, 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 bum. There's a nice brown, right? Mix it here. Get an in-between. Start mixing these together. Okay? Don't forget your white. You could pick it from the orange. You could pick it from the blue, the green. Who cares? Go for the green this time. Just see what happens. Okay? Make that my white. Grab that. Start mixing it with stuff. Okay? And start getting completely different colors. See this? So this is going to give you a really cool range of colors that are completely different. And you really need to try this for yourselves. Use the right kind of brush so that it's really easy to make this happen fast, all right? And where you have a lot of control over the pressure. Okay, use that hue saturation slider trick, either to pump up the saturation of the colors, however you want to go. But I hope that you learned something. I hope that you're excited about this, and I hope that you never have to worry again about color in a digital painting environment, because yes, friends, it can be intimidating, okay? So I want to thank you all for hanging out with me for this almost hour. And it's almost the weekend, so go out there and party and have fun. But remember, above all, to take care of each other, okay? And take care of yourselves. Remember, please, to be kind. And I'll say ciao for now. Just kidding. I'll say it now.